React TypeScript Vite. Using your favorite terminal, type npm create vite at latest.template react ts. Once this is done, do npm install and then open it with VS Code. Then I'm gonna run npm dev to run the development server. After that, I'm deleting all the code that is boilerplate. Here's a nice title for our app. Why not? I'll delete this line of CSS. It centers everything in the middle. It looks weird. Also, I will make an arrow function. They are cooler. Finally, I'm telling TypeScript, hey, this is a JSX element, so we're on the same page. So I'll create a components folder and create a file called triangle.tsx. Okay, some boilerplate code, and then I go to svgator to create a nice triangle and export it as an SVG file. I will then open this SVG with VS Code. It has two tags, SVG declaration and the path. So I'll copy everything to our triangle component and then import it in the app.tsx. So here is our triangle displaying on the page. But notice that everything is hard-coded. So I'll create a type called triangle props to accept props from the app.tsx. That way we can dynamically pass the fill, the stroke, and the stroke width, etc. Here I'll say that the props is the type of triangle props. But I am going to destructure this so we can use directly styles rules. So now VS Code says, hey, there's a missing prop here, style rules. So I'm gonna pass an object with a property of stroke. This is a string of red. And then I'm gonna grab this and put it dynamically on the screen. So now we have a red triangle and its color is dynamically coming from its parent. Let's do the same thing with the transform. This requires a string. So we're going to say transform, translate, and let's pass a more user-friendly value. So now I can pick it from the props and put it here in the transform. Now I'm going to add a class called triangle container. This will serve to better render or position the triangle on the page. After that, some more inline dynamic styling. So now we can pass its max width as a prop. We can also pass different ways of measurements, pixels, percentage, EMs. Then I'll grab this and make it dynamic from the styles rules. Finally, it's the time for the stroke width. I'll pass it as a prop as we did before. I will link this so it becomes dynamic and not static as before. So now we have two different triangles that are being passed different props, and therefore they're completely dynamic, 100% dynamic. I'll create a third triangle just because it's cool. The problem is that if I give it a high number in the transform, everything breaks. So instead of using the transform attribute in the path element, I'm gonna pass some CSS dynamically to its parent, and we have the option of using top and left. So now we can accept two more props. The top property, which is going to be a string, and later on the left property, which is going to be another string. As you can see, I'm connecting and accepting the dynamic values that come from the props, and I'm putting them in the element. We could also add the transform rotate property, and you can use that as a string, but you could also use some concatenation and be really cool about it. Now, instead of accepting rotate prop as a string, it's going to be a number. Time to pass them as props. We have the possibilities of creating some CSS animations and then attribute them to the different classes. We could create more classes so that we change the animation a little bit in each element and then pass them dynamically as props. So now I have the classes move1 and move2, and I'm gonna pass them as props so I can give each element a different class name. Here I concatenate each class and its dynamic class name. You can create even more classes and pass even more and more classes. Finally, I asked ChatGPT how to finally, I calculate on my own how to create a function that captures the movement of the mouse. This is a function that takes an event, the mouse event, and I declare it with Typescript. Then I add an event listener to the div, pretty basic stuff. Finally, what I will do is that I will pass these values as props to the component, so each element moves in different direction and rotates according to the coordinates sent by the cursor. I'm pretty sure that the user will be completely astonished and it might drive them a little crazy, but it's a pretty cool effect. Thank you for watching.